A toda la comunidad de la Asociación Mexicana de Maestros de Inglés Mextesol, nos sentimos agradecidos en Puebla por haber sido seleccionados para llevar a cabo la edición 48ª de su Convención Nacional en el año 2021. En esta hermosa ciudad contamos con una extraordinaria conectividad tanto aérea como terrestre. A solo 90 minutos está la Ciudad de México. A 200 kilómetros a la redonda de Puebla se encuentran más de 40 millones de habitantes que se pueden desplazar fácilmente en vehículo para llegar a este destino. Contamos con una infraestructura hotelera de primer nivel con más de 13,000 habitaciones en la ciudad, que por cierto, en el año 1987 fue nombrada por la UNESCO como Patrimonio Mundial de la Humanidad por sus más de 2,600 edificios históricos, que son majestuosos. Somos cuna de la gastronomía, una ciudad que simplemente lo tiene todo. Historia, modernidad, cultura y por supuesto diversión. Estamos seguros que en Puebla, en conjunto con ustedes, realizaremos la edición más importante de Mextesol en su historia. Los invito a ver este video y conocer un poco más de nuestro hermoso estado. Bienvenidos.
Me llamo Mónica, soy poblana y artesana. Cada vez que trabajo la colorida talavera siento que cuento una historia, y aunque utilizo mis manos siempre me guía el corazón. Me inspira lo que veo todos los días en Puebla, sus hermosos edificios coloniales, la diversidad de sus municipios y de sus pueblos mágicos. No importa cuántas veces los mire, sus paisajes me siguen robando el aliento. También me inspira lo que escucho. Desde el llamado a la aventura de sus zonas arqueológicas hasta los secretos que me susurran sus bibliotecas y sus monumentos. ¿Y qué me dicen de sus sabores? Créanme, Puebla es la cocina de México. El mole poblano, las chalupas, el tradicional mole de caderas, las semitas, los dulces típicos y nuestros emblemáticos chiles en nogada. Pero entre tanta belleza lo que más me inspira es la sonrisa de la gente. Es un milagro que te permite abrazar la historia de cientos de años en un mismo instante. Es presenciar las maravillas que los hombres creamos y las que nos fueron regaladas. Tal vez por eso la llaman Puebla de Los Ángeles, porque venir a Puebla es tocar un pedacito de cielo. Es dejarse sorprender por la belleza de sus desiertos, sus bosques y sus cascadas, que nos cuentan la importancia de la herencia cultural que se transmite de generación en generación. En Puebla somos cultura y diversión, la esencia del pasado y la promesa del futuro, el alma que palpita detrás de cada obra de arte, un mosaico de emociones que te erizan la piel. Me gustaría que todo el mundo viniera a conocer lo que yo veo a diario, porque estoy segura de que se enamorarán de Puebla y se llevarán a casa mucho más que una artesanía. Se llevarán una gran historia que jamás olvidarán.
Puebla, el patrimonio de México.
Good morning. I'm Elias Olvera, First Vice President of the Mextisol CDMX local chapter. I would like to introduce our next guest speaker. His name is Jesús Burton. Hello, Jesus. Good morning.
Hello, Elias. Good morning.
Jesus is a Google trainer and bionics engineer. He's passionate about technology skills, has 8 years of experience under his belt in design and manufacture of Baje SAAE all-terrain vehicles, and 9 years of experience in international robotics competitions. He is team coach in all categories at FIRST for inspiration and recognition of science and technology, and he's also coaching CAD, computer aided design. Jesus is going to talk about, sorry, Jesus, I'm talking to you. Hi. You're going to talk about...
Oh, yeah. I'm going to talk about the main use for Gmail when we're trying to use it in classroom. Well, applying it to a classroom, or, well, more precisely, to the classroom management.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Jesus. The floor is yours. Welcome.
Thanks. Okay, now. Well, hello, everyone. Let me just share my screen here. Okay. Now, it is quite common for every one of us that when we begin to use our Gmail, eventually it becomes just a mess. It really becomes a whole mess. We have messages coming from a lot of different people, a lot of different sources, or even a lot of mail that we don't need. So for that matter, we're going to be checking, well, mainly the organization or how to keep our inbox properly organized so that we don't have this little mess that I'm showing right now. Now, first of all, the main tool that we're going to use for this are called labels. In these labels, we can organize all of our mail in these so-called, let's say, folders, in which we can have all of our mails divided on a specific category. Let me show you what I mean. By this, I mean that here in my left side, I have these NDA and trainer group tags. These are tags that I created previously, in which I have mail organized depending from where it came from. Let's see, and let's apply this to some of the mail that I have currently in my inbox. For example, I guess I can use these two mails that I received from the CDMX chapter. These two, I'm going to put them in a separate label. For this, I got them both already selected. I go up here to the label section, select it, and then I'm going to be offered, well, the labels I already have, or the previous labels I already have. But for this, I'm going to create a new one. Here I'm going to check create new, and I'm going to be requested for a new label name. For this, I'm going to use chapter CMX. Now, when I create it, these two mails will now show this little label next to the subject. When I go here to my right side, once again, to my left side, sorry, I'm going to find the label where these two mails are now stored. Now, an important aspect to take here in consideration is that I'm going to have them here in this label, but also I still have them here in my inbox. It's actually quite helpful because now if I want to go to an exact subject, or let's say an exact sender, I can just go here to the tag and it's going to show me the mails that were sent to me by that person or regarding that specific subject. By now, it shows us if it's double. Actually, we only have it once. We only have it one time inside our inbox, but these are just, let's say, quick access to these same mails. What we can do in order to keep our inbox tray a little more clean is that once we got these mails, we can just remove them from this specific tag. For example, I'm going to add now this one to a new tag. I'm going to call it Scratch since I don't have that tag yet. Now I can find it here in my Scratch tab. I'm going back to my inbox. Now I'm going to tell it that I don't want it anymore in the inbox. I just want it under the Scratch label. So now I'm going to remove it from the inbox. I go back to my inbox and I can see that no longer is shown the Scratch mail here, but I have it only here. Now we have to be a little bit careful, let's say, whenever we do this, because if there's a mail that I have here and I just remove it from my inbox and I don't have it already assigned to another label, let's say, it's kind of gets stuck in a limbo, for as a matter of speaking, because I won't be able to access it by my inbox or by any label because it doesn't belong anywhere. I've marked it so that it doesn't belong anywhere. That's why we have to be quite careful. Now, this will help me organize every single mail that I currently have in my inbox. For example, I'm going to look here for any Scratch related mail. Here I have every single mail in my inbox that is related to Scratch. I'm gonna select them all now, and I'm going to send them to my label. Here it is, Scratch. I'm going to remove it from updates for now, and apply. Now, every single one of these is now in my Scratch label, but also all of these are now in my inbox label. Let's check here. Well, I can once again just search for Scratch, and here they are. It's gonna tell me if it is or if it isn't in my inbox. Just a reminder that this will help us eventually have a little bit more order here. How can this be applied now to more, more classroom related subjects? For example, I'm going to take these little emails that I have here from a previous class, and I'm going to add them to a new label, which I'm going to call trainings. I'm going to put them, well, no, I might as well call them classes. Okay. Now, here in my classes label, I have these two, but for now, I'm just, let's say, splitting or organizing every single mail that I have here in my inbox currently. For a new mail that if I want that every single new incoming mail goes to a specific tag or label, for that I need to apply what is called a filter. In order to use a filter, first, I'm going here to my search bar. I show the search options. This will give us advanced possibilities for search. Well, let's say that now I just want an email from a specific person. Let's say my teammate Ignacio. Now, every email received by me from Ignacio is going to be shown here. But if I want to create a filter with this so that every email I receive from Ignacio goes to a specific tag, well, I might as well first create this tag. I'll go here to my left side once again. I'm going to deploy the more options, and I go here to manage labels. Here in manage labels, I'm going to be shown every single label from the system labels to my very own personally created labels. Here I'm going to create a new one, which I'm going to call Ignacio. Now, once again, I'm going to search for every email received from Ignacio. Now I go to create filter. Once I select create filter, this small tab is going to be shown. The main option that we have to select is apply the label. Apply the label is going to send every single mail received by this person to its specific tag. And also another option I have is that I can skip the inbox. Once again, I remind you that there's a little warning here, because if you don't select a proper label, but also you tell it to skip the inbox, then we're going to have email floating nowhere that we won't even be able to see. Now, that is why we have to be very careful with this. Once I have already, well, applied the label and skip the inbox, for every new email that I receive from Ignacio, it's going to be sent here to my tag, to my label Ignacio, but it won't be shown in my inbox. If by any chance or we think we made a mistake, we can just go here to settings and we go to labels. Here we will find our current label. Let me just, this one. We can either remove it or edit it, the label itself. But if we made a little mistake when using our filter, then we'll go here. These are all my personally created filters. And here we're going to have matches from Ignacio to this skip inbox and apply label. So we can go to either edit or delete so that I can change the settings that I selected for Ignacio. Now I can go here to continue, and it's going to show me our current criteria for this specific filter. Well, we can also forward it to another address. For now, I'm going to keep my settings as they are. Also, I'm going to delete this filter since I won't be requiring it. Okay, sorry. I'm told that I'm going a little fast. Sorry about that. I'll try to slow down a little. Okay, now once again, let's say that I want to create a new filter to send every single email received from a specific person or for a specific subject to a label. For this, I go up here to, well, search. I'm going to, in this case, I'm going to use the subject. Once again, I'll be using my Scratch example. I'm going to search every email which has a mention of Scratch. And here I'm going to create a filter so that every single email received with the subject or which contains the word Scratch is going to be sent to my Scratch label. Here it is. So now I create a filter. It's not going to be directly shown here, but if I go to my Scratch label, well, first of all, it's going to show me all the ones I already have, but also every time I receive a new email regarding this subject, it's going to be sent to this label. So far, I'm just using, well, regular labels. There's another option which will allow me to create the sub-labels. Let me just show you so that it can be a little easier to understand. For example, I'm going to create a Google label. Now, up here, I got my newly created Google label. So far, it's empty. But let's say I want to add a sub-label. A sub-label, it's going to be stored inside this label, or well, nested for, let's call it trainings. This is going to be shown, well, in this way, so that we can just handle it as, once again, as if it were some sort of folder for our inbox. Okay, now let me just head back to my inbox. And now, so far we've seen labels and how to use and apply a filter. Also, I think I'm going to repeat this part of modifying our filters, just in case I said it a little bit fast. Okay, I go to settings. Here, we're going to be shown this quick settings tab, and we'll need to go to see all settings. Okay, now in here, we'll go to filters and blocked addresses. Now that I'm here, I'm going to be shown every single one of our personalized filters. In this case, well, the Scratch one, the one I just created. Here, I can either edit it or delete it. In case I want to edit it, well, it's going to show me every email which contains the subject Scratch. I can now hit continue to go to my, well, to my settings tab, let's call it, where I will select what's going to happen to these emails. Here I have currently just selected the apply label because I still want it in the inbox. Currently, it still has use for me, so I will just leave it like that. I'll hit update filter. Well, in case I don't want this filter anymore, I can just delete it. And every setting applied to that filter, it's going to be also removed. Okay, now let's talk about signatures now. When we are writing or composing a new email, we can set it so that our very own personal signature is shown every time at the bottom of the email. For this, well, let me just close this one. We have to go to settings, to see all settings. Under the general tab, we'll go here to the bottom, all the way down. Okay, here it is. And in here, I can personalize my signature, add whatever certificates, email addresses, our charge, and our name. so that it is our presentation, or once again our signature, in every single email that we send. This one is, well, we can have several sort of them depending on the main use. For example, I can show it here. Then for new mails, which signature are we going to use? And for every reply or forwarded email, what's gonna be showing? Let me just zoom out. Okay, let me go here back to my inbox. This covers, let's say, our general use of labels and filters, which actually help a lot when we're trying to keep this whole mess a little bit more organized. And now we're going to pass to, let me just open it over here. And now we're going to talk about Google Calendar. Here in Google Calendar, we're going to see how to create an event, invite someone to the event, create a repetitive event, and also add a task. For this, well, let me just take an example day. Let's say Friday the 19th. I will now start creating an event. We'll call it sample event for now. And in here, I can set everything I need for my event. Let's say that I wanted to start and end at a specific time. I wanted to start at 4 p.m. and last 1.5 hours. I will now start adding my guests. For this, I'm going to use, well, also some teammates. Something that it's actually important when we're creating an event is that I'm going to be shown now every single event for every person that I'm trying to invite. As long as the calendars are shared or we have access to that specific calendar, we will see them. For example, I also have here the whole calendar is starting to, well, fill up with more events. And I can also select this section right at the bottom, which says suggested times. When I select that option, I'm going to be given this list that it's going to show me every block or every section of time in which all participants can be there. I can also hit here and find a time. It's going to show me pretty much the same, but just in a slightly different show. In this case, I'm just showing March 19th. If I request for the whole week, it's going to show me the calendar for every single one of us, of the invited people. And in here, I can now select a block of time, which it's convenient for all of us, so that I don't have any issues for them to assist. Okay, now I'm going to just go back to where I was. Okay, I'm here. Now, whenever we're creating an event, in the moment that I have more than one person in that event, I'm going to be given the option to join a Google Meet. This will generate a Google Meet so that every single person in our current event can access. In this case, well, let's say I remove it, but every time I want a Google Meet for that to happen, I'm going to be given a class code or a Google Meet code so that every single person that I invited can access to. For example, here I can, well, add a little more details, add an attachment, add a file, so that every invited person can have access to this information or to that, well, particular document, let's say. Now, I am currently working with a specific date and a specific time. There's something we can do that is to repeat this event. Now, it's currently selected as does not repeat. I'm going to open up, and it's going to give me the option for it to be daily, weekly on Friday, monthly on the third Friday, because I selected the third Friday of this month, annually on March 19, or every weekday. Also, I can add a custom so that I can select the specific days that I want to deal with. If I want, for example, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, or let's say I just want it Friday until we get to a certain date. I'm going to say June 18, and done. Now, this event is going to be repeated every Friday from today to June 18. At least that's how I set it. For now, I won't be creating this event. Well, yeah, I'll create it now, but I'm going to more options. Here, well, it's pretty much it's the same window, just that it's evenly distributed here. And in here, I can select to give a notification or send an email to the people that were invited 10 minutes or, well, any amount of time that we want in minutes, hours, days, or weeks. It's going to notify them to give them a reminder that there's an event there. For example, let me just see. I can also add a secondary notification for just in case I also want them to be notified via email, so that everyone here or every person here can be invited to this event. Now, for this, well, yeah. Let's say now that I save it. And the first option that I'm going to be shown is that would you like to send invitation emails to Google Calendar guests? And well, in this case, so that I don't send them an email now, I'm just going to hit done send. The event is going to be shown in their calendar, but they, in this case, in this situation, they aren't getting this email. Now, let's say I already have this email, but I want to change certain details or add more people. For this, I'm going to the edit event section. This is once again going to show me our large screen. And in here, I can add more people. For example, I'll add these two new people. And once again, once that I have all my settings, I've checked that everything works properly. I'm going to save it. And it's going to ask me, do you want to edit the recurring events, only this event, these and following events, or every single event? Well, I'm going to say that I'm going to apply it for all events. And also, once again, do you want to send emails to new Google Calendar guests? Also, I'm going to hit down send so that they are not getting an email right now. But this is going to be shown in their very own personal calendars for every time they check their calendar, it's going to be shown there. Now, this is just an event. We can also handle a little variety of tools here, one of which is, for example, a task. Let's say that, well, I'm going to set it as task, and I have to remember for next Friday to, I don't know, a book for class, let's say. Here in the description, well, And here I just selected that a task applies to the whole day. It's going to be shown even different to what it's an event or what it's a task, a homework. And I'm going to save it. Now, whenever I check the calendar, I'm going to have this instant reminder that I have a pending task. Another option that I can use for these tasks is right here to the right side. I have this little tasks icon right next to my calendar. And here I got this prepare book for class for Friday, March the 12th. I can also edit this one. And in here, what I can do is to add a subtask, something directly related to this, but that also needs to be checked. For example, I don't know, at a book, with subtasks. Now, once I've already did it, I can go back here and I'm going to be shown as a checklist these current tasks. For example, let's say I already bought the book. It's no longer shown. And let's say that I already have the book ready, so I can just say marked. It will now no longer be shown here, but will remain in my calendar just as a constant reminder. Even though I already have it or I already did it, I can also here mark as completed. And there you go. It's going to be now crossed, giving us a show that that part is already fulfilled. Okay, now let me just check on this side. We can also, well, coming back to my Gmail, we can also have access to tasks in this site and the calendar. This is a, let's say, quick access tab, so that as I'm currently working with all my mail and setting everything I need here, I can also have my calendar on a site just in case I have some pending classes, something coming. That way I'll be able to, well, to keep track of that. Now, also what we need
A toda la comunidad de la Asociación Mexicana de Maestros de Inglés Mextesol, nos sentimos agradecidos en Puebla por haber sido seleccionados para llevar a cabo la edición 48ª de su Convención Nacional en el año 2021. En esta hermosa ciudad contamos con una extraordinaria conectividad tanto aérea como terrestre. A solo 90 minutos está la Ciudad de México. A 200 kilómetros a la redonda de Puebla se encuentran más de 40 millones de habitantes que se pueden desplazar fácilmente en vehículo para llegar a este destino. Contamos con una infraestructura hotelera de primer nivel con más de 13,000 habitaciones en la ciudad, que por cierto, en el año 1987 fue nombrada por la UNESCO como Patrimonio Mundial de la Humanidad por sus más de 2,600 edificios históricos, que son majestuosos. Somos cuna de la gastronomía, una ciudad que simplemente lo tiene todo. Historia, modernidad, cultura y por supuesto diversión. Estamos seguros que en Puebla, en conjunto con ustedes, realizaremos la edición más importante de Mextesol en su historia. Los invito a ver este video y conocer un poco más de nuestro hermoso estado. Bienvenidos.
Me llamo Mónica, soy poblana y artesana. Cada vez que trabajo la colorida talavera siento que cuento una historia, y aunque utilizo mis manos siempre me guía el corazón. Me inspira lo que veo todos los días en Puebla. Sus hermosos edificios coloniales, la diversidad de sus municipios y de sus pueblos mágicos. No importa cuántas veces los mire, sus paisajes me siguen robando el aliento. También me inspira lo que escucho. Desde el llamado a la aventura de sus zonas arqueológicas hasta los secretos que me susurran sus bibliotecas y sus monumentos. ¿Y qué me dicen de sus sabores? Créanme, Puebla es la cocina de México. El mole poblano, las chalupas, el tradicional mole de caderas, las semitas, los dulces típicos y nuestros emblemáticos chiles en nogada. Pero entre tanta belleza lo que más me inspira es la sonrisa de la gente. Es un milagro que te permite abrazar la historia de cientos de años en un mismo instante. Es presenciar las maravillas que los hombres creamos y las que nos fueron regaladas. Tal vez por eso la llaman Puebla de Los Ángeles, porque venir a Puebla es tocar un pedacito de cielo. Es dejarse sorprender por la belleza de sus desiertos, sus bosques y sus cascadas, que nos cuentan la importancia de la herencia cultural que se transmite de generación en generación. En Puebla somos cultura y diversión, la esencia del pasado y la promesa del futuro, el alma que palpita detrás de cada obra de arte, un mosaico de emociones que te erizan la piel. Me gustaría que todo el mundo viniera a conocer lo que yo veo a diario, porque estoy segura de que se enamorarán de Puebla y se llevarán a casa mucho más que una artesanía. Se llevarán una gran historia que jamás olvidarán.
Puebla, el patrimonio de México.
Hello everyone. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Jesus Burton had some problems with his electricity, so we're going to continue with the session regardless. I'm going to present Ignacio. He is also co-CEO of Grupo Farina. He'll be taking over for the rest of the session. Ignacio, welcome, and I'll let you continue.
Hi everyone. Well, sorry about technical difficulties with electricity. Well, as you heard, I'm Ignacio. I'm going to be filling in for Jesus, given that he's currently having a little bit of problems. So let me share my screen so we can be working on where he left off. Okay, so we were working about, well, we're talking about how we can link Gmail with calendar. And let me just open up a calendar. This is something I had planned to teach you about in the next webinar, which is about Google Classroom. Everything you have in the apps that Google gives you when you have an account, you can find it here. There's 9 dots. That's the app menu, where you can find every single app that Google has. Even some other apps that you add to your account, you can have them there, and you can go anywhere within the Google environment from there. Given this, while it's still loading, every aspect and every app in the Google environment has these 9 dots where you can move from, let's say, Gmail to Calendar, like I just did, or from, I don't know, Google Drive to Google Classroom, and so forth and so on. So you can have all of these movements between one app to the other without losing your current progress, without losing any information you have already done. So, well, it's loaded already. So while we are having Calendar open, Jesus already showed you how you can add people to your events, how they can see the events, and how you can give them a notification that they are invited to any given event. So to elaborate on that, when you are working with an event, you can have different characteristics and different ideas to go deeper on what you need to do in that Google Meet, or, well, if the situation in the world lets us have a in-person meeting. But you can add a location. So when you're opening this event in your mobile, you can just click on it and it will open you Google Maps, and you can find, well, how to get there. And you can use it as if you were on Google Maps. Let's say I don't know. You can add any information. Well, I'm in Mexico City, so I'm going to be Insurgentes, and it will automatically load you the location. This is obviously a random location, but you can add it if it's registered on Google Maps. You can add it without any trouble, and it will lead you to the drive, the Uber, the anything you need to get there. You can also add a description or attachments, and in this event, well, I have mostly videos in this account, and I can add any kind of archive I want. It can be a video, it can be a spreadsheet, it can be slides, it can be a document, it can be a form. You can have any kind of information or attachment in your event. How does this work for you? You can have complementary information of your event or the objectives of the meeting you are going to have. What I mean with this is that the idea of Google Calendar is to have a concise name and a concise description, so you can have the attachment where you can have all the points that you need to cover in your meeting. The presentation, if you need the invitees to see it or to edit it, and you can have any kind of information. Let's say this document 1, and it will show like this as a link. What it will have, or what you will have, is or correction, what everyone who is invited to the event will have is a link to enter it. So you can have all the information for all the invitees. You can add a description, like I said. You can have titles, lists. You can add different types of text in your description, and it's going to be a much complete or fuller idea of the event. So I'm just going to add a title like let's say Google Meeting, and let's say it's for today, but it's like 1:30 to 2:30, and let's add some guests. Let's add myself. And it's adding the conference details. Another good thing, or some cool thing that I think Calendar has, is that you can add or remove a Google Meet link automatically. As I just said this, I just invited, well, in this case, myself with another email, and the event automatically put a Google Meet link. So it's already linked the event with a Google Meet, which is a way to communicate, given the distance and the security we must have right now, that it's really, really practical. So yeah, we'll have this, and I'm just going to save it. And as Jesus already told you, you can have send or don't send the invitation to everyone who's invited. I'm just going to click send, given that's, well, it's me. So, and this is something really important. When you're working with a Google Workspace or Google Workspace for Education or Enterprise for Education, any given package of Google Workspace, if you're inviting someone who is not on your environment or your domain is just after the ad, which in this case is sfm-mx.org, and it's going to ask you if you're sure you want to invite them. That's a very cool feature, which is to make sure, well, let's say that again. Google makes sure you are sure of inviting someone who is not on your domain, because given the security details we must have with all of this education and mostly underage students, it's important to know if you're sure you're going to invite someone who's not on your domain. So this is a cool feature that is in every single one of the Google Workspace packages. every time you invite someone who's not on your domain, it's going to give you like a warning if you're sure. So yeah, I'm sure. So it's going to say invite external guests. I'm going to click, and it's going to register the event, in this case at 1:30. It's going to send me an email. Well, in this case it's me, but the invitees, that I have a meeting on the day the event and the time. And it also is going to give me the option to say, well, I'm going, I'm not going, or maybe. The maybe option is more like an option, so everyone can say, okay, I may go or I may not. It could be because you have other meeting right before, so you may not arrive on time. Well, at this time it's not like we have any travel issues, so that there's that. But the event looks like this. This is an already registered event, and as you can see, we have a button which is the join with Google Meet. Like I said before, this is the linked Google Meet meeting to the event. Well, in this case, I named it Google Meeting, but it could be any name. And if you click on join with Google Meet, it will open you another page where we will see, well, in this case, I don't know if it's going to give me some error because I'm using my camera in different pages, but you will see this is the meeting with the name of the event you assigned. So you have linked everything. Yeah, it's going to work. Or maybe not. Okay. Well, in this case, I believe it's giving me some trouble because, oh yeah, it's going to work. Yeah, it's giving me a little bit of trouble because I'm, well, in this other meeting, but you can see we can have the button of join now or present. And the great benefit of working in all the Google environment, which is Google Chrome, Google, well, Gmail, Google Calendar, etc., it's that in a Google Meet, you can have the option of sharing an entire screen, sharing just a window. In this case is how I'm sharing today, where I can move from different pages and you're going to see it. You're going to see, well, in this case, Classroom, the Google Meet, the calendar, and, well, in this case, Gmail. You're going to see everything when you share the window. But one of the great advantages in this case is that you can share only one page. Let's say I only want to share this page with Google Calendar. Even if I move through my pages, let's say to Google Meet or Google Classroom or Calendar, even if I move in the screen, you're not going to see it. That's one of the greatest advantages of using the Google environment. So that's one of the links we can have, or one of the advantages of working with the entire Google environment. And, well, I'm just going to shut this because I'm not going to use it. And this is how you link the Google Calendar with Google, well, with the Gmail. And you can have all kinds of links. Well, I actually could like talk for hours of how you can link different apps, but I believe it's time for Q&A, so I don't want to take time from your questions. So.
Hi, everyone. So, Ignacio, thank you very much for continuing the presentation. As you said, it's time for the Q&A. So the first question we've got here is from Cassie Nolasco. She asks, can you download, how can I get the calendar down? So how can I download it?
Well, I don't know if that means the Google Calendar app, but one of the great benefits of Google in all their apps is that they are all free, and you can download it whether you have an iOS or Android without any cost. All you need to do is log into your account, or Google account, and you will see everything like it would be on this page. You don't need to download anything other than the Google app, when in this case, Google Calendar app.
Okay, and the next question I think is related to this one. Can you download in Excel? So maybe let's say that you have no internet and you need access to your calendar. Can you download it in order for you to have access to it without the internet?
Well, in this case, you can download it, or well, let's say if you have the app, you don't have to be connected to Wi-Fi or your mobile device. The Google app, well, in this case, Google Calendar app will work without any internet. Obviously, if you don't have internet, well, it won't be updated. But the Google Calendar app works without any internet, so you can see all your events without any internet connection if you already opened it and it already has registered all your events.
Oh, thank you. The next question. Classroom emails can be sent directly to an email like the example you gave from Ignacio?
Classroom emails, I believe it means the tag. If you want to send an email directly, in fact, that's one of the topics we're going to cover in the next section with with Google Classroom. One of the advantages of Google Classroom is you can send emails directly from Google Classroom to your students or the co-teachers you have in Classroom, and you can send it directly. This is important only if you have a Gmail account. You can access your Google Classroom, but you can send it directly.
All right. And then when you want to attend certain events, you get a link on your email that says add to calendar. How do you do that in Gmail?
Well, when you have like, let's say a webinar from this, usually you have in your confirmation email, there's a link which says add to your Gmail calendar, iOS calendar, Outlook calendar, well, any kind of service of calendars. And the link usually takes you directly to your Google, in this case, Google Calendar, and you can have the event and you have to click OK, and that's all you have to do. It will be registered on the account you have opened, but it's directly within account.
Thank you. Next question. I have a question. Can we watch the Meet code of the calendar with a Google Classroom code?
Yeah. In fact, that's another topic we're going to be covering.
So if that's another topic, then maybe we should save it for then.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the answer is yes. We can link it directly, and in fact, we will see this in about a moment when we have the section about Classroom. But yeah, you can have a Google Meet specifically for your Google Classroom.
Excellent. And it says, where can I find the calendar? Last question.
The calendar app, or
I think they are asking, let's say, how can you access it? Because for some teachers, it might be difficult to access it or to find it specifically.
Oh, okay. Well, the advantage of Google is that you can find it in many ways. My easiest way, or the way I find it easiest, is I log into my Gmail, and I can see my calendar in the right side of my screen because I have like widgets, and there's the calendar. You can open it directly and you can see your Gmail and the events of today or the events you have registered, and you have no problem. Other way you can do it is through the app menu. You can look for it, in this case, the logo of Google Calendar, and it will take you directly as you saw in my screen.
So in the three dots that appear in the main menu whenever you enter into your account, right?
Yeah. When you have when you're in your Gmail, on the right side of your screen, you're going to see three. Well, in this case, if you saw my screen, well, they were four, but the first one is generally the Google Calendar. Oh, wait.
It's right there, just for everyone to see. So that one, right? Okay, excellent.
That's the calendar widget. You can see it directly from Gmail, or in this case, Drive. The advantage is that as you have all your apps linked, you can see it without any trouble.
Okay, and then thank you. Jael asks, is it possible to select only a few contacts to look only at certain events?
I don't know if we could be a bit more specific. I don't know if I'm getting the question right. well, let's try it as I understood, and you can guide me if I'm wrong. The advantage of Google Calendar is that you can add via email. So you can say, well, in this case, I added myself because the email I know most, so it was easy. But you can have like a spreadsheet or a doc with all the mails you have to add to your calendar, and you can just copy them and paste them in the invitee section, and you don't have to look for any people or any contacts. I don't know if that was the question.
Okay, and sorry, there are more questions popping. This is good. Nathan Thompson first asked this question, and he's clarifying what he means. So the first question is, when you want to attend certain events, you get a link on your email that say add to calendar. How do you do that in email? And this is what he meant. If I'm the event host, how do I generate that option?
Oh, well, in Google Calendar it's a bit difficult because it's meant to be a personal calendar, so it's a little bit difficult. What you can do is download the the calendar. In this case, you only have to go to the settings, and you will see that you can download the link. I can't stress this enough, given that a Google Calendar is meant to be personal, it doesn't quite have that option of sharing that. I believe it's more useful to share a calendar, so if you want to add different events, but yeah, it's a bit more difficult to do it in Google Calendar because I believe it's more meant to be personal or shared specifically with some people, not really like an open calendar.
All right. And then we have one more question. How safe is to set up your signatures in Gmail? I have both formats, CR and key, but I'm doubtful about using them on my Gmail. Thanks.
Oh, okay. I believe there's a bit of a confusion there. The formats you are talking about, Edward, is more of a legal signature. In Gmail, it's more like let's call it identification signature, where at the end it will show you who you are, where you work, what do you do, if you have some level of certification. In this case, well, Jesus showed you the Google Certified Educator Level 2, and the Google Trainer has the badge, and it's not linked in a way of a SIR and key formats. It's more like let's call it identification, not like a legal signature. So it's important to make that difference.
All right, thank you. And then we have one more question. It says, to use Jamboard, it's necessary to have a smartboard?
No, you can use Jamboard without the, let's call it, physical Jamboard. You can have it in your tablet, what's called iPad or Android tablet, without any trouble. And you can draw, you can show, you can write anything, even in your computer, without the smartboard.
All right, thank you. And then a follow-up question regarding to Jael's question. So the question was, is it possible to select only a few contacts to look only at certain events? And the follow-up is, I would like to let know a few students when the classes are, but it creates confusion for other groups.
Oh, okay. Well, when you are working with, let's say, differentiated groups, I suggest you do it with different calendars. Let's say the great advantage of Google Calendar is that you can have different calendars. I know this sounds really weird, but you can have different calendars where you can have let's say one that's called classes in general. So you can have all your groups, and then you can have let's call it breakout rooms from your group of 6th grade, and you can have a calendar, and then you can separate the students and then send them manually the invitation to the other groups. It's a bit more workful, but it's worth it because you avoid all this confusion.
All right, and then just a final question. It says, can I use Google in a Huawei?
Yeah. I believe not, because recently they have like a commercial trouble. So I believe you can use Google already. I believe it's on the plans to sort things out, but I think currently you can use Google with that Chinese sort of enterprises who are currently having a bit of trouble with Google.
All right, well, thank you very much, Ignacio. Please give our thanks to Jesus. And yeah, please, we would like to award Jesus, and of course you can accept this award, I think, a certificate of appreciation for all the knowledge, tips, and, well, giving us all of this information in order for us to improve our lessons and be even better online teachers. So thank you very much. And we'll see you in a bit, right? Because you're going to be next.
Yeah, exactly. I'm next.
Okay, well, thank you very much, everyone. Please remember, we're about to start our next stream session. So don't look out. Keep in touch. Okay, thank you.